I am responsible for the care and stewardship of those collections. And we have visitors, researchers, Aboriginal people, delegations come. I go and meet with them and I get a chance to hear about the stories, about the artifacts, the cultural history that goes with them, the cultural stories that they can share with me. Be open to any dialogue they want to have about the future of those collections, both how they're being cared for now and their future. And if we know something about their past, then we fill in those holes as well.
In 2018, I believe was the 250th anniversary of Captain Cook in Australia. Received a letter from the director of IATSIS that year to explain a little bit about the project that they were doing to inventory Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander collections across the world. I was tasked with inventorying the collection that we have.
Director of the Board of Trustees for the National Museums Liverpool, he wanted to see all the galleries, so she brought him on a tour. And basically the first thing she said was, look, these galleries are racist. The concept behind ethnographic museums is racist. We need to address that on gallery. We need to really bring the public with us and think about how do we bring these questions and where do we go with collections like this. Started just figuring out what does decolonizing mean for us? What does it mean? How do we do it? And then how do other museums address these issues as well? Because obviously Liverpool is not the only one, so they went and visited other museums. Colonial histories of these collections and even the displays. Some of those responses ended up being questions put directly on the cases that just, if it just gets, in my view, any visitor to think just for 30 seconds, what is that question here? Why am I, what does that mean? And a quiet period in terms of activity, but that's the trajectory we're on. That was started by our predecessors and a board of trustees who said, well, okay, let's see what we can do about it.
So this message stick is one of the very few items we have on display, actually. This is a message stick from the Norman River area in Queensland, Australia. It's been on display here for about 10 years, and we did get in touch with IATSIS to let them know that we had this message stick. We were also in touch with an expert in Australia who's specializing in interpreting those message sticks. We also have the original message that was inside the stick in our archives that was preserved, which is written originally in Aboriginal language. We were contacted by Gay Sculthorpe, who was at the time a curator in the British Museum, an Aboriginal curator from Tasmania actually, and was doing research on behalf of a colleague of hers in Australia about Aboriginal rafts, and I think didn't have any information about the object, was separated from the object, so we lost the information about the object, which means that the raft was found in the collection one day. Into the archives, and mostly I went into the accession registers, which are the original books in which the curators recorded every object that came into the museum. Went through those books one by one, and eventually, after many months, I found the entry. It looks like it's coming from Kimberley. It's a Bardi Jawi raft, actually. We're very excited to have been able to reconcile the object with its provenance information. A lot of the time you can have an entry with very little information, whereas for the Aboriginal raft there was a lot more information. I don't remember the exact wording or details, but there was information about where it came from, the exact location, very detailed description about the raft itself, the fact that it was made of logs, pine wood. So these are the very few items we have on display from Australia. These spear points, I think they're called Kimberley points. They are from Western Australia. Became the focus of my attention when we had a researcher from Australia who came over, and he had a look at those spear points, and he said that the information we had about those spear points on our info rail here was incorrect. He actually was very kind and sent us correct information about the object, so we sort of reinterpreted our label and were able to update the label accordingly.